Hi, my name is Shelomo Solson, founder of Purpose Creates Impact, host of the Teenage Impact podcast, where you will find inspiration to get over your struggles as a teenage kid. I was bullied, had anxiety, depression, had friends pass away, and battled confidence issues for a majority of my life. Whether you have the same issues as me, feel lonely, face challenges in your home or in school, I'm going to be interviewing people who overcame these struggles and provide you with tips on how you can overcome yours. By the end of this episode, I want you to rate and comment on what you think of the podcast. This will allow the podcast to be ranked higher and serve more teenagers. Hello, everyone. This is Shelomo Solson, host of the Teenage Impact podcast. And I have a very special guest with me, someone who I truly can relate to. I've been following her for about a year. I have Shinjini Das with me. How are you, Shinjini?
Good. How are you?
Good. She's a true go-getter. She's empowering people from all around the world. Literally, she just came back from Honduras for a week. She's been speaking in Spanish and inspiring people. She owns a media company, been doing this full time for about 2 years now, 2 or 3 years.
Almost 3.
Almost 3 years. And her mission is to really inspire people, help people build content, and get them to the next level. But before she was a CEO, an entrepreneur, before she was a go-getter, she was a shy and not confident kid. She was born in India. She lived in Malaysia for a little bit, then moved to New Jersey, then moved to Georgia, then moved to Los Angeles for a little bit. She's been all over the place, and I just read her book, Unapologetically Shinjini, and it's about her story on how she grew up as a very shy kid and didn't talk to people and how she became a go-getter. I'm not going to tell your story. I'm going to let you take it over and tell your story.
Thank you, Shlomo. That was beautiful. You summarized it really well and you hit the highlights really well. That's absolutely true. Everything that you said is true. And, it's funny because when people see me today, like, you're an extrovert, like, you're popular, you're beautiful, you're this, you're that. And it's like, I think both of us are testaments to what is possible if we just believe in ourselves, because I don't think it was always like this for sure.
Mm-hmm. And in your book, you said you were born in India, and there's a lot of times where you just didn't talk to people at birthday parties, and your parents stopped taking you to birthday parties because you didn't act the same way that other kids acted. Can you explain highlight a little bit on that?
Yeah, totally. So this is all true. And thank you for, purchasing Unapologetically Shinjini memoir at 26. It's about how becoming a go-getter changed my life, which you can get at unapologeticallyshinjini.com. It's an ebook. Totally. I mean, for me, like, that was a very real part of my life, where whether you call it social anxiety, whether you call it growing up, whether you just call it like coming out of your shell, whatever. I mean, it wasn't anything like medically diagnosed or anything like that, so I don't want to use too much of like harsh language. Was right in the book. I don't think I really called it social anxiety, but casually, I think that wasn't far from the truth, and it was tough. It was tough, because when these birthday parties, when you're so young and you're so little, like, the parents just want to hang out by themselves, right? And they want the 3-year-olds to play together and they want the 4-year-olds to play together. So the fact that, I didn't do that, and like, I created problems during that, like, it was painful. It was painful for my family for sure. And I still hear about those stories to this day, that like, oh, you didn't go inside, we had to be outside the whole time. And just, because Indian parents, they take a lot of trouble, for the kids. Whereas like some of my American friends now, like, I see, they're just like, oh, whatever, like, just, leave her outside, leave her, like, they're more casual. Whereas like, oh, we're not going to go inside too, that. So no, I'm super grateful to their sacrifices, because it's definitely been a team effort to make sure that I, grew up, not even right, but grew up like socially, able and yeah, like normal. But then again, I don't want to be like, oh, social anxiety is not normal, but it's just one of those things where my whole message is, if you work on it, you can win for sure.
Absolutely. I love it. And then when you moved to Malaysia, did you try to work on those skills?
Yeah, I think I'll be honest. I think that's why like these problems were definitely more evident when I was like super young. So like 3, 4. Whereas Malaysia, it's funny, I don't remember like such things. Having said that, I was never openly extroverted. So it wasn't like me and the pictures of the girls where it's like them and 10 other girls, them and 20 girls. Like that was never my life. Which is why I'm a very proud introvert. I'm like that's always how I've been. So in Malaysia, I had my first best friend. I had my first like just close group of friends, and I was very liked by them. I hang out with them. It was cool. It was cool for me to be with them and have fun and enjoy and all that. So no, I don't think it was as much in Malaysia.
Mm-hmm. But then you moved to New Jersey, which to United States, you probably didn't know what to expect at 9 years old.
Yeah.
You felt left out, correct?
For sure.
Especially in the beginning. Why did you feel left out?
For sure, no, I felt left out because also we moved Shlomo right at the end of the year, which is sort of this weird thing because like, why would you do that, when you literally have 2 months left of the school year? So I think that was sort of a problem. And I also moved right when there was a standardized test, so I had to take that test. And also like, I don't know if people realize this, but America is very different from other countries. And the more that I'm traveling internationally now with the US Department of State, as you said, I'm really seeing that, I'm really, really like seeing that because America has this very insular culture, which has a way of making everyone who's not like that feel completely unwelcome and like an outsider, and frankly, like they're intruding. So for me, those initial years in America, like that was it every day. No one really asked me to, join their circle. It was always like strange, like person and also none of them really knew where Malaysia was, which I think was sort of a red flag. And to be fair, in Malaysia, I didn't know where America was. So I can't really judge, but literally the awareness was so low of diversity and all of that. I mean, it was sad. It was definitely sad. And then moreover, the teacher at the time, third grade teacher, she said stuff like, why don't you know what a poem is? And my thing is like, I never wrote poems in Malaysia, and she's like, why don't you know what the currency is? And I'm like, I don't know if you know, but like other countries have different currencies, so just things like that, which again, at the time I could say, oh, it's ignorant, but then to be fair, if she, and I don't remember this, if this was true or not, but like if she had never left the US, then probably she thinks that every country has the same currency.
Gotcha.
But the fact is there are hundreds of countries that are not the US, so I think it was just an exercise in education and awareness, but it was definitely very hard. Having said that, fourth grade, which is the second year, right after moving, was, I would say, a lot better. And the teacher was very nice, made me feel very comfortable. Kids were a lot more diverse, and then same with fifth grade. And then I left New Jersey in fifth grade. So.
Gotcha. And how did you feel when you saw that you might have been different? How did that make you feel?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's definitely an interesting awareness, and I'll tell you why, Shelomo, because in Malaysia, and you're also like ethnic, so you understand, Malaysia, we were an expat community. So like my friends were all
what community?
Expats, so expatriate. Okay. So that's like when you're from a different country and you're in a different country, like where your family, like your dad, mom is working, and you're growing up there. So like a lot of like diplomats' kids are considered expatriates. So they're from different countries, working in different countries. Immigrant is more of a status. Expat is like a lifestyle kind of thing. So like for us, like my school was paid for in Malaysia, things like that. Whereas like by company with my dad. And so for me, like in Malaysia, I was very used to seeing Indians, Thai, Japanese. I mean, we had mostly Asian, I'll be honest. I don't really think I had too many European friends. It was mostly Asia. So for me, I was like, oh, I'm Indian, they're Indian. So there really wasn't this like, oh, I'm so different. Like we were all some part of Asia, you know, in Malaysia. America was when I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like not even that there are no Indians, because obviously there were. I was in New Jersey, obviously there were Indians at that time, but all of them were born in America. I think that was the real differentiator, because I mean, 2003 in New Jersey, there were a lot of Indians. There still are a lot of Indians.
Still a lot of Indians in New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't come in at a time when like, oh, there was no Indian person in America. That's not my story. But none of them were born in India. So I think that was like a little bit of a like, what, because the point being, when I talked about India, when I talked about Malaysia, when I talked about Asia, none of them understood anything. You see? Because their parents growing up, it's not that they were like, oh, don't talk in your language, but I think there was less of an emphasis on India and Asia and more of an emphasis on we're in America now, you know. So I think that was the real divide. In terms of how that made me feel, I mean, I definitely felt different. But one thing about me, you know, I think you see this in the book, I'm very proud, you know, to be ethnic. I'm very proud to know other languages. So I've never felt ashamed that, oh, I'm brown, I'm not white. You know, I've actually never wanted to be white. You know, and this can be a pull-out quote. I'm serious. I've never wanted to be white. So it's not this thing of like, wow, I'm so different. You know, this sucks. But it was definitely the sense of like, how do we make this work? Because I'm new to America. I don't really know much. I don't really understand a whole lot of like sports and this and just all the conversations. But at the same time, anytime I talk about my past, no one really gets it. So I think that was really the issue.
You're proud now, but were you always proud at a very young age?
100%. I was always a fall.
That confidence in you.
I was always fresh off the boat, just very Indian, very Indian. Like I'm like, there's Bollywood and then there's me. Like I embody Bollywood. Like I'm obsessed, like with the movies, with the music, with the culture. Like I'm so proud, you know, and I got made fun of so much, you know, growing up in America, because a lot of the American, like Indian Americans, like never watch Bollywood. It's stupid. It's, right? I mean, all the things, singing and dancing. But like for me, you know, it was such a beautiful way of expression. I'm like, they're singing, they're dancing, they're, you know, all these really like beautiful. And actually, I was watching a movie the other day and I realized that when we think about like media and media culture, obviously Hollywood has never had Indian women like that on screen.
Yeah.
And so for me, like this Indian empowered woman on screen, like it really was born through Bollywood. Like if I think about it, right? Like she's singing, she's dancing, she's beautiful, she's talking, like that image was for me born through Bollywood. Like that, I didn't have any other influence, you know. Where else will I find Indian women on screen? So I think like I was always very proud of it, you know, and I got made fun of a lot, right? They're like, oh, she's Bollywood, like we're cooler. But I was like, no, but like I love, like I think for me the biggest thing was like, but I love this. You know, so yeah, it might be stupid or whatever, but I actually really love this. So I think that for me was like the saving grace, was like I truly, even now, Shelomo, I'm a real fan of India. I'm a real fan of Indian culture. Even when I see other people like wearing, you know, white, whatever, French, wearing sari, I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. And then I'm like, wait, that's mine. So I'm a very like objective lover of what India stands for and what Malaysia stands for. So I think it was easy for me to be like, no, I'm from there, you know. So
that's such a good quality to have, especially at a very young age, because when I was growing up, I got bullied a lot for, first of all, being Indian, and second of all, being Jewish. And I had both ends of the stick where people would bully me. And to a certain point, I got fed up and I kind of questioned my background, my roots, my religion. I'm super proud now and I brag about it all the time. But it's good that you know it now, because a lot of people, when they get made fun of for something, they try to be like someone. But you, on the other hand, don't do that.
No, and you know, I've never done that. And honestly, the reason is a little bit sad, but I can like reveal it. Frankly, I always thought I was like better. You know what I mean? Whether you want to call, and by the way, I got called names for that. Oh, you're elitist, you're a diva. Later in life, you're a bitch. But I was like, you know what? Like, just even if you look at my like previous pictures, like always smiling, always hardworking, always like I was not to be like rude, but I was always a cut above everyone. So for me, I'm like, they're like making fun of me, but I'm like, that's their job, all they do is like make fun of other people and do all this stuff. Whereas like, I don't belong in that group. So I think for me, I've always held myself to a higher standard. So for me, I was like, no, like I am different, and I like this, and so I think boys, it is very different. I can't pretend to have experienced the same level of stuff. Because to be honest, like the girls were pretty, there was a little bit of cattiness in the beginning, but then later, 4th grade, 5th grade, to be honest, most of my friends were Indian girls who I'm still in touch with today. So, I mean, they're not gonna, why are they gonna bully me? I mean, they're Indian girls themselves. So I think there was a little bit of like that common ground. So I don't think I got hit or hurt that badly. Yeah.
That's awesome. And now from New Jersey, you moved out of New Jersey at 11 years old to Atlanta? Was that
Georgia.
Atlanta,
Yes.
Georgia? At 11, that's when you're pretty much starting middle school. Now, middle school is one of the toughest years.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, and that was exactly 2 years in America, which I mean is nothing, in terms of like you're just how long it takes, to like learn the culture, learn this, and I do want to say that English was not a problem, but because my school in Malaysia was a British school. Having said that, I think the problem was more cultural. So here, a lot of things they say, as you know, are very different from British English, and then also just vocabulary. So I had those issues, but I don't think the issue was like I don't understand and don't speak English, which I also have friends who went through that, and it's really hard, and it is hard. But again, you can learn, right? Like every day after school, go online, watch tutorials, practice. Like there are ways to overcome any situation, like a go-getter. But yeah, so for me, 2 years in America, Georgia at the time, I think that was really a big wake-up call, because very, very poor diversity situation in the school. And I think even the teacher, there was a lot of like, is she talented and gifted? No, we don't believe it. We don't. But there was just a lot of like, let me just try to like show my power.
People told you weren't talented and gifted?
Yeah, because it was like a tag for the class, right? Like the class was called tag, talented and gifted. And in order to get into that class, you had to have some, I don't know, signature or whatever from that school, from the school that you're coming from. So there was a little bit of discrepancy with them, like this new school being like, oh no, we didn't get it. Oh, she must not be tagged. And then my mom was like, are you kidding me? This is Georgia. And I'm coming from New Jersey, like, which is one of the most premier school districts in the nation, to Georgia, which frankly, nowhere near what that school district was, so I think my mom was like, what do you mean she's not tagged? So I think we had a lot of those conflicts. And then this school was the first where like the people just had no idea. Like they're like, where is Malaysia? What's going on? Just really trying to not bully, but they're like, we're not going to be friends. So I think, and also it worked out well, because when I moved, it was the end of 5th grade. So literally, I'm not even joking, a month left of 5th grade. So I mean, it was a month, so like I stuck it out for a month, I didn't really have friends, but then I was like, it's a month, like whatever. What changed my life, and to this day, I'm like super emotional about it, because also as an introverted kid, as a shy girl, you need more support, in school. You need teachers who are going to just like go out of their way to reach you and not be like, oh, she's not talking, she doesn't get it. You know what I mean? Like you have to really like be there for these like shy kids. And also what my I think best decision my parents made is they enrolled me in Fulton Science Academy charter school, which again, not a public school, it's a charter school. And this was a time, it was so formative in my life. I went in, and even, I mean, I've always been academically talented in sports. It's not like, oh, it was a surprise, but
the highest GPAs, right?
high GPA, yeah. But I went into the school and literally head down, just killed it, Shelomo. Like first year, 6th grade. This is my barely 3rd year in America, like barely 3 years in America, and killed it. Got the third highest GPA in the school. Something insane. Like it was like first in the class, third, and it's just insane. It was just like straight killed it, which if you think about it is hard, right? Like you're 2 or 3 years in a new country, brand new culture, brand new everything. And so to get those results like so soon, like it was really a moment. And then that's when like my streak sort of started academically. And then same, 7th grade was like awesome. 8th grade was the highest GPA in 8th grade. So like basically valedictorian, graduated as valedictorian in middle school. And that's when I was asked to give the graduation speech, and that's when everything changed. So yeah, I'm proud of that. Even today, like when I think about it, I'm like, oh shit, like that was a very like less time to achieve like, you know, excellence. Because it was hard, man. It was hard, which is why like I don't think many people talk about it. But moving, especially to America, as a tween or teen or whatever, like it's hard.
It's hard because my sister moved to America, I think at 12 or 13.
Yeah.
She barely knew English and she struggled in school.
Yeah.
And
no, it's
when she got accepted to the university, they were shocked because her grades weren't all that good. And she was behind some of the other kids. So that's quite of an accomplishment. But did you ever feel social anxiety in middle school and high school?
You know what, in middle school, which is why like I credit this middle school so much, because they made me feel so comfortable. And it's so funny because even now, that's who I am. Like if I feel comfortable in the situation, if I feel like I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna be thinking, but like the minute I feel unwelcome, uncomfortable, like I'm out. It's not like I'm not gonna talk, it's just I'm gonna mentally switch off, you know. But this school, I really like took to it, you know, like a fish to water. And I found a great group of friends, like great group of friends. Like this was the first time in my life where we did like the birthday parties, we did, you know, movie nights. I literally for the first time in my life.
What age is this?
Like what age?
Yeah.
11 to 14.
11 to 14. So around 11 years
14.
old.
12 to 14.
14 is when you started making friends.
Yeah. Well, and they were like super like nice to me, and we were like seriously, it was just beautiful. And sleepovers, like just the traditional like experience, you know. And I felt so like with it, and so like for me it was a beautiful time.
And you said, and in the book you mentioned you wanted to be the cool kid.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, let me rephrase that.
The popular kid, not the cool kid.
Yeah, maybe like more, because I think all throughout my life I think you can say that, because all throughout my life I've been sort of niche, right? Science Olympiad, like science, even now people were like, oh, you were so smart. I think for me the division was, if you're smart, you can't be popular, right? If you're very nerdy, you can't be popular. And typically, at least what I saw, the popular girls,
it's what people made you believe,
were never the smartest. That's the other thing that made me sort of mad, is like, and I think that's when everything started, like, you know, I started thinking about all this a lot. It's like, why can't I, as 8th grade valedictorian, like be the most popular? I want to be clear, it's not because I wanted to fit in, because I've never wanted to fit in, because again, part of me thought I was better than, which is not good, you shouldn't think that, but part of me thought I was like, I was like too good for like trying to fit in, you know. But part of me was also like, why can't someone like me, like girls with values and morals and like a good girl, not a bad girl, right? Why can't I be popular, right? And I think that was like the thing, because I think even then, Shelomo, my goal was, frankly, I think you figured this out, my goal has always been influence. My goal has always been, you know, to inspire and all that stuff. So like for me, it's like, it was almost painful to see that, like, why can't I be popular? Like, am I not good enough to be popular? Like, I think that was kind of the thought, not that I want to fit in because I want to be popular. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And just to kind of go to a different topic, you always talk about on your Instagram and Twitter that you've never had a boyfriend and you've never kissed a guy. And you're comfortable about it now, which is awesome. But were you insecure about it when you were younger?
I mean, I think in college was when it really came to surface. Because I'll be honest with you, Shlomo, and I think you already realize this. I mean, I've been working my ass off from like day one. I mean, you can tell that, you know, valedictorian of 8th grade, high school. I mean, I was like head down, you know, AP classes, full ride to Georgia Tech. I mean, it's not easy to get this. You know, and even then it was like one of the most competitive years of all time. So I'll be honest with you, high school, I had no time to even like think about.
You didn't even think about it. In college, it bothered you.
No. That's what I'm saying. So in high school, graduate, and by the way, I was like so proud. I was like, holy, like full ride. You know, we literally didn't pay anything for college. Meaning we paid, but then like my internship money and everything, like I actually ended up making money in college. So parents were thrilled, landed an amazing job after college. So I was like, this is amazing. Like I really have no problems. But yeah, I think in college, because a lot of my friends were in sororities. And part of being in a sorority is, well, again, not every sorority, but at least sororities that my friends were part of, is it's like a crush party, right? So like you invite a crush, you invite some guy, and it's like, just socializing. And it's not like they were all dating or they all got married, or it's just, like that. But I think for me, because, I don't know, I was always a little shy, even just like hanging out with guys like that. Like college was when I first started making friends with boys. For the first time, because high school.
Of course, Indian parents don't want the opposite sex friends.
I mean, not really. My parents were actually never like that. In fact, in Malaysia, Shelomo, my best friend was a guy. Like we were always together and everything. So I don't think that was the case, but I just never had opportunities to like be friendly. Because in my mind, I was like, I don't talk about cars. I don't talk about trucks. Like what would I talk about with him? And that was a real concern. Like once I was finishing high school and I knew that I was going to college, and that I went to Georgia Tech, which at the time was about 70-75%, almost 80% male. So I knew that like I would have to talk to guys, but then I'm like, I don't even know what I would talk about. Like you can't just talk about like homework the whole time, like what, and I'm gonna be honest with you, not because I'm like, oh, I'm insecure, I want him to like me. No. But from a just general level of like, I literally don't know what to say to him. Like, what would I say? I think that was a concern because I'm, you can do like type A, like getting it done. So I'm like, what would I even talk about? So anyways, college came, and to this, I'm very proud of how well I bloomed socially in college. Because again, first time away from home, and I'm the type where I grew up very sheltered, so I never went for camps. I never went for like outdoor, whatever, overnight camps or whatever. So like.
Yeah.
It's like a big deal, It's like 4 years, you're in your dorm alone. Like it was a big moment for me and for us. And I think there was a part of me that was a little bit, whatever you want to call it, nervous, scared, whatever, with the boy thing, because it's a lot of boys at Georgia Tech. Now it's a little better, it's more equal, but engineering, I mean, it's.
Actually, I have a fraternity. I'm part of a fraternity, and they have a fraternity in Georgia Tech.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like now it's better. Now we're like approaching 50-50, but at that time it was very heavily male. I mean, 2014, 2010, etc. So, I think I had to quickly practice how to talk to them as friends. Literally my goal, Shelomo, like year 1, year 2, freshman year, sophomore year, because at that time, I was like, I'm head down working. I don't have time to date and so like that was never my goal, but I was like, at least I just want to learn how to like be friends with guys. Because even then I was like, future boyfriend, we have to start as friends. I don't really want to just, go like, from nothing. Then that was a good experience. That was a very good experience at Georgia Tech. Just like, and I started with baby steps. I was like, hey, which by the way, I was so proud of, I'm still proud of. I was like, hey, let's do lunch. Let's do breakfast. And that for me was such a big step because, first of all, to even talk to a boy as a friend level, and then it would just be like him and me eating breakfast, So I think in terms of like teens listening on how to get over the opposite gender anxiety, friendship-wise, I think friendship-wise, it's really easy to start that way and just be like, hey, like, do you like this? And then slowly I started realizing like I am an interesting person, and like and genuinely they all really like talking to me. They're like, oh, you're so passionate, you're so basic. The thing is, what kind of bothered me is none of them saw me as anything more than that. And I got that feedback. They were like, oh, we don't see you that way. We don't see you. And like consistently. And again, I was like, I'm too busy. I have so much going on. But there was a part of me that felt a little, I think hurt is a good word. What do I appear to you as, Because, and then I asked them, and I think part of it, though, they told me, they were like, you're one of the guys, so when we started talking and everything, because I'm like, I was loud and, energy, not like I loved sports, because I still had no idea about anything, but I think just the energy that I gave off was a lot more, just like, ha, ha, ha. Whereas like a lot of the girls, they were like, oh, hey, so they came off as a girl and I came off as a guy. Which is why guy, if you're straight, that's not gonna work, right? So I think that was the thing. But they were like, no, you're amazing and so fun and this and that. So I ended college feeling like, okay, like one goal is definitely met, which is I honestly, Shelomo, and I can really say this, I graduated with, and not just Georgia Tech, so many other like high school, all these really, really good guy friends. Frankly, at sometimes I felt I had more guy friends that were close, and literally we were like talking on the phone than girlfriends,
Then
which
girlfriends.
yeah, which was a beautiful thing. But then my irritation at like 23, 24, that's when the media discovered me, was like, why doesn't any of them think of me as like I could be more? Like that kind of hurt, to be honest. And by the way, I've heard this from guys who follow me. Saying like girls have always friend zoned me, right? And at the beginning I was like, oh, it's all stupid, whatever, like focus on yourself, you're amazing. But like now that I've been through it, and I think as a girl being friend zoned, I think it's a little bit more rare than a guy being friend zoned. At least the stories that I read online and everything, it's usually always guys who are friend zoned by girls, right? And girls are like, oh, I just see you as a brother, I just see you as a friend. Whereas like for me, they were like, I just see you as a guy. And I think that hurt me a little bit, because I'm like, again, not that I'm like trying to be your girlfriend right now, or I'm trying to, get a boyfriend now, but I was like, I don't know, I'm like 23, and this was like always after college, and I was like, yeah, I'm 23, and like at some point I kind of do want to be thought of as a potential girlfriend, and so like maybe I start working on that. And again, I think my perspective even then was like, not fixed, but like let's work on this problem and find a solution. But to be fair, Shlomo, one thing that I did, which I'm also very proud of, is I never blamed myself. I was like, there's nothing wrong with me. Like just because they don't see me as a potential girlfriend doesn't mean that I'm lacking, doesn't mean that I'm ugly, doesn't mean that I'm whatever, not sexy, not sexual energy, whatever. Like I never believed any of that. I was like, there's definitely some packaging work to do to just change up the energy a little bit, but that's it. Because I know a lot of girls, at least I know, because they've told me once I like share my story, I'm like, oh, I got friend zoned, this and that. They're like, I like just very negative. They were like, I was, I don't know, suicidal, I was this, I was that, like no one liked me. And so I did not go down any of those paths at all. So my thing was more like, let me just work on my energy and my passion. And then, I looked at my stuff and I was like, not that I look like a guy, but like I never wore dresses. Like I never.
Not till recently, right? You said not till you start going full time.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Dude, you have a good memory. Yeah. Well, because I think here's the thing. And these guys are really sweet. And so, I really appreciate them for their honesty. I think what they were saying is like, we don't really feel the feminine energy, because if you think about like attraction and dating and all this stuff, it's like, and if you're straight, it's masculine energy attracts feminine energy. Masculine for a straight guy doesn't attract masculine. And likewise, feminine does not attract feminine. So I actually started approaching, which I wrote about in the book, from a scientific and analytical point of view. And then I was like, you know what? They're right. Like when I think about the vibes that I exuded, like they definitely weren't girlfriend vibes. Mm-hmm. It was like a buddy vibe, like a bud vibe. But to be fair, in college, that is what I was going for. I wasn't trying to be anybody's girlfriend. So in a way, I was like, you can't
accomplish your goal. Accomplish your goal in college as a more guy friend. But I can totally relate, because in high school, I was friend zoned so many times, because I didn't think any girl would ever like me up until college. I started realizing girls liked me, and I
like in a way that's
one thing about talking to a girl. So my friends kind of guided me and taught me a little bit, and then just one experience led to another. But I hear from you a lot from your posts that you should be confident with who you are, your journey.
Yeah.
You're not a late bloomer. You're not late to the show.
No.
You just haven't found the right moment, haven't found the right guy, haven't found the right girl.
Right.
It's just everyone's journey is different, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, totally. And I'll be honest, like it's so funny to me now, because I've been through all that, because you probably went through all that. Like now, like when everyone's like, oh my God, you're the perfect girl. Like I start laughing, because I'm just like, I'm the same person who like no one looked at that way a few years ago. So like, I think you learn how like in some ways silly all of it is, you know what I mean? In terms of like, oh, you're the perfect guy. It's all just like words, you know what I mean? But like, I feel like for me, I've worked so hard on myself. I've definitely worked on my image, and I also don't want to like sound like I'm saying, oh, if you want to attract a guy, just wear a dress. But for me, because, I I'm a fan of feminine energy. I'm a fan of like that softness, that vibe, that just delicateness. For me, like the dress worked. There are some girls who don't wear dresses. You know, I'm not going to tell her to wear a dress to attract a guy. But for me, and by the way, I didn't do any of this to attract a guy. As you know, I did all this in the media, for the media, because I'm like, I want that image and everything. So, but now, like all these guys, and the one thing they tell me, which I'm so proud of, they're like, I like you because you're not trying to impress me. You know, you're not trying to, you know, what's that word? What is it? Try so hard. You're not trying to try so hard. And because a lot of girls do that, right? Oh, he's looking, let me do this, let me do that. And I think for me, like, because of all this, like from the media and everything and like TV shows and like, a lot has happened. Like I don't have the time to be like, what is he thinking that I would
If
like?
two people are compatible, they're compatible. It's it. You don't have to
Right,
think too
try
much of
so
it.
hard, you know, like work so hard to get him to notice my new dress. Like I honestly don't have time for that now. I just like do things. So I think they really like that now, and now it's like, yeah, it's a totally different.
It's a different game, different
But
vibe.
I will say, for everybody listening, you know, I definitely do not want to sound like, because for me, I addressed it as a problem, and by meaning that, what I mean is like Indian parents, it's like, oh, you're 25, where's your boyfriend? I just want to be clear that if you are looking to attract a potential, you know, sensual, sexual, romantic partner, there are steps that you have to take to get there, especially if you, like me, grew up as a nerd. I just want to be clear, because I think for me, what I was so frustrated by is like, and just little things, and I can tell you this, you have a sister, like shopping for my first like adult like lingerie and bras, like no one like tells me, like no one says
No
anything.
one showed you anything.
It's all like banned, you know, like, you know, because when you're like, you know, if you have a daughter, you'll see like like sports bras are just like little, but like when you're an adult woman, like you want to feel
It's
sexy,
different.
no, like no help. And so I'm like going into Victoria's Secret for the first time. I'm struggling my eyes out trying to figure out like what I should wear and do that. And like I just want to stand with the struggle of every woman who's trying to feel sexy, going especially from that, not even 19, because at 19, please don't try to feel sexy at 19, but going from that like 22 to 25, when like 25 you're a woman, like 25 you're no longer a girl, you're no longer a child. Like that was really hard for me. Like my parents are like, no, nothing, literally, because honestly I was scared that they were gonna like find these bras and they're gonna be like, what is this? Because it's just, you're not allowed to wear a push-up bra, you're not allowed to, you know, wear a bra with lace, and like, oh, like I mean I just bought two, but again, like freaking like $50-$60 bras. But you know, yeah, they have lace, they have this, and like they make me feel sexy, and like I was worried of what my, you know, parents would say, and just things like that, where I want to say that like feeling sexy, it takes work. And for me, like I can, it's not like I look so different now, but like you can see that my energy is like on point now.
It's
Whereas
different.
like before, it was like, kind of like not even shy, kind of just like, oh, a little inhibited, but now I'm just like, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And I think especially men who are like ambitious and have a goal, like they get that.
I love it. I love it. Let's rewind a little bit to your upcoming, to the point where you realize that public speaking is your strength.
Yeah.
And that it's not only your strength, you enjoy it.
Yes.
It was around what, 14, 15 years old, you entered your first speech competition?
14. Yeah. So 14, I was discovered in 8th grade and told to be the 8th grade graduation speaker. 15 was my first competition.
15, and you won several speech competitions.
Yeah. Yeah. So even that was like super fast almost. So 15 was my literally first time ever. It might have been, I'm trying to think. No, I think it was 15. It was after January. Yeah, it was 15. 15 years old. At 16, I was the state champion, and I have the trophy right there. So again, a year. Like I want everybody to recognize, because look, winning is fun, but what I want everybody to realize is like how much work.
Loved it too.
Between that 1 year, first time ever speaking, never been trained.
And you were shy.
And I was shy. Like, just think about the effort it takes to do that, you know? So again, head down, working. But yeah, 1 year, one state championship. And then at 17, I was a top 10 national finalist.
That's amazing, because I teach public speaking to teenage kids. I just got done with a program. And a lot of kids, they talk, they're social with other people.
Yeah.
As soon as I put them on a stage of just, they would not give a speech. I'm like, you're allowed, you interrupt my class, but when I tell you to give a speech, you just wouldn't do it. And it's just, it's kind of different that you went from an introvert, shy kid to almost national championship.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible. And it took a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication.
Yeah,
but
because
you enjoyed it too, correct?
Why was what?
You enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved it. Because I think I had like 20 plus competitions in high school. I'm just giving you the highlights, but in between the like national, state champion and all, like there were like 10, in between. So like 20 total. So I don't think that you can do that. And these were like full on like Saturdays. Like literally, I still remember, woke up at 5 a.m. Competition started at 8 a.m. Competition ended at 8 p.m. Awards went till 11 p.m. So like it's literally that's 12. That's like 20-hour days, like easy. At 15, at 16. So like you have to enjoy it. Like there's no way that someone could force you to do that, because it's just too long. And I mean, that's just the competition. I had to study and prepare before. Afterwards, I was like debriefing of, okay, like I won, but like what could I have done better? It's a lot. And that's like aside from school.
And then you realized, but how did you realize that you had talent? Was it that you won a competition, or did you just start speaking? Were you nervous when you first started?
No. I mean, here's the thing, Shelomo. One thing about me, and I think you see this in my content, my tweets, like I'm very truth conscious. So a lot of the things that I say, it's like universal. Integrity is good, lying is bad. I'm trying to just get us back to our roots.
Realist.
Back to like where we come from, you know what I mean? Like that's what it's like, immigrants make America great. Like just universal things, which some people might say, oh, this is silly, but again, no one is really saying any of this stuff. So which is why like my content is standing out. And so for me, even then, yes, I'm shy. Yes, I'm all these things. But when I took the mic, that was me. I was like, God, like, thank you. Let's spread truth.
You weren't focused on yourself. You were focused on the message.
Exactly. I think that's.
I know exactly how you feel, and
because my first speech was about how we shouldn't stereotype. Which again, like I was so like angry of like, oh, why are people stereotyping? Like I was focused on the issue, And then the second speech was about like young people should get involved in government, and like it wasn't like me. It was like no, like. It's so wrong that like all these young people over 18 are not even voting. And by that time I wasn't even an American citizen, and I'm like giving a speech about American government. So like for me, I was very fascinated and trying to move the needle on some things and again, share truth, because I think for me, it just hurts me and pains me to see so many people struggling. They don't have enough money. They don't this. And I'm like, actually, you guys, I don't know if you get this, but the solution is so simple. So let me tell you what the solution is. And I think that was part of my mission. Because even now, Shelomo, like I'm looking back at my Honduras thing and I'm like, holy shit, like we literally had like stadiums, like baby stadiums, 300 people. I mean, that's a lot of people. Like there are comedians who host tours with 300 people who have Netflix specials. Like 300 people is not like no people. So for me, the fact that some 340 people came out in a new country, they didn't even know who I was. They just saw the topic and they were like, I'm interested in digital branding and digital entrepreneurship. Like to me, like what I'm saying is when I look back at the videos, I'm like, holy shit, I did that. But it was because, again, I just want them to use digital to make money. I mean, some of them are straight poverty, so if this can uplift their economic situation, like that's a beautiful thing,
Absolutely. I love it. And you gave a commencement speech as well, right?
Yeah, that was another struggle. Walked into
Georgia Tech is one, for those who don't know Georgia Tech University is one of the top engineering schools in the country.
Yeah.
And Shinjini gave a commencement speech in front of how many people?
10,000.
10,000 people.
Yeah, but even then, Shelomo, it was a struggle. I mean, I didn't know a single non-white girl who had done it before me. I mean, I'm trying to paint you the backstory because I think
you're paving the way.
Right. When you look at like, accomplishments, you're like, everything is great, right? And it's just like at every step, like that was my life.
And
that has been my life. You know?
let's talk about everyone, every woman or every guy who's self-conscious, who possibly came from a different country, who is an introvert, who has social anxiety, maybe he's never had a girlfriend or boyfriend in their life, that's very self-conscious about themselves. What tips do you have for them?
You will be the best ever in bed. Because, now I'm telling you why, because all of that pent up like energy and everything, because you know yourself so well that you have much higher self-awareness than the average person. And it's funny because that's exactly how I feel today, is all these girls and all who are like so experienced, but like I look at them and I'm like, I am so fresh and I'm so like unjaded because of the self-awareness, whereas they're way more experienced. But like I can guarantee you that I'm gonna just be a lot more fulfilled in all ways
because you're happy with yourself.
Exactly. Because a lot of girls are, you know, they're doing a lot of random stuff to make themselves feel better. So what I'm asking you to do is to invest in yourself so that you feel better about yourself because of who you are. You know, and that's the difference. So yeah, what I want to tell them on a serious note, I think, you know, is to be a go-getter, you know, is to literally just go out and get your goals. And let's talk about the effort that it takes to get a goal done. And let's talk about the effort that it takes to accomplish something special and meaningful. And more importantly, let's talk about the consistency in effort that it takes to get something done. Because I don't know if you remember this from the book, but Future Business Leaders of America, I was the top 10 national finalist as a senior, so at 17. The first time that I competed at the state level, I didn't place at all, literally nothing. So not first, not second, not fifth, like not 10th, zero, nothing. I was like, wow, that's like, because at that point, like I was winning everything. So like that was a huge blow. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Because I knew that like that was pretty much my only shot, like winning that. And then my only shot at going to the national level as a 17-year-old. Eventually went back home, figured out, was okay, if year one, you know, this state didn't work out. Second year, I still remember, Shelomo, I worked so hard trying to perfect the content. Because there was a certain message that they wanted to hear. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound like any of these.
It's kind of like a Toastmasters when I competed.
Right.
Structure, they had a judging material, a judging criteria, and like, okay, hand gestures, vocal variety, eye contact, body movement, like they hit all those different points.
Totally. And it's not just like whatever you want to say, like you have to cater your content to their rubric, you know? So for me, I worked so hard, second year, first place in the state, and that's what got me to the national level. So I just want everybody watching this and listening, you know, go-getters, let's talk about the effort that it takes to go get your goals. Let's talk about the hard work that it takes, because I'm frankly tired of talking about the fluff. You know, oh, you won, oh, you did this, oh, you have a business, oh, and it's like you're not honoring my story by not talking about the, like, literally commencement speaker, like 15 to 20 emails that it took for me to even know what the deadline was to apply, because like this is such a selective thing that even the posters for commencement speaker are posted in like 2 places in the whole school. So I was like, I don't even know where they are. So I mean, just little things like that. And then they were like, oh, here's the deadline. I was like, great. So I did it, walked out, and I was like, hey, so when do we find out? And just at every point, you know, there have been just real roadblocks. And again, mostly guys who applied with me. I mean, Georgia Tech, it's, you know, the speaker is a reflection of the student body, right? So I mean, at every point, I've had to not even fight, but I've had to fight and beat, you know, people to get what I got, you know? So let's talk about that, you know? Let's not talk about just the end goal.
So for anyone that's watching, what she's saying is, if you're not fulfilled with yourself, you're not going to be fulfilled with someone else.
Yeah, that's right. That is right.
Make a fulfillment of yourself by going after something you're truly passionate about.
Yeah.
If you're passionate about something, go work your butt off for it.
Yeah.
It's not going to come easy. It takes a lot of consistency, hard work, and persistence.
Totally. And I think what happens, Shelomo, is when you do that, you automatically, because over the past few years, I've gotten the message that you look happier. I said, yeah, because I am happier. So I think what happens is when you do that, and like for me, I left, 2 jobs, and just a lot has happened in these last 5 years since graduating, that I think, I'm so grateful now. I'm so happy now. Like hearing things like a girl in Honduras saying that, like, because of you, now I'm going to actually chase my dream of becoming a doctor because now I see that it's possible. That's huge.
That is
that's
big. That beats anything.
Yeah, that beats anything. So for me, like I am happier. And so what I'm trying to say is once you follow this amazing lit path for you, like you are actually going to become sexier, you're going to become more passionate, you're going to become happier because you are sexier, because you are happier, and because you are more confident. Like I'm not putting on an act now. You know what I mean? Like this, I am happier, I am more confident, I am sexier. These are all like facts. Whereas I think before I'm like, how do you get sexy? Like, how do you get confident? And it was like this, like, an undertaking. But now it's like, it's real because I'm doing the work.
I love it. I love it. Do you have any other tips, Shinjini?
Any other tips? The biggest thing, write your goals down. I think that's a big one. Write your goals down and please make them achievable goals on a daily basis, because saying things like, I want to learn English by tomorrow is just not feasible. Like it's not like you suck, right? It's not possible, right? I want to make $1 million tomorrow. Like again, that's just for most of us not feasible. So if we can just, instead of $1 million, if I can say, Shelomo, I want to make $1,000 by tomorrow, that's probably more realistic, right? So I think a big thing that a lot of people I know, they're setting these just crazy goals, and then they're getting so disappointed that they're not becoming a doctor in a year. And I'm like, that's not possible, So I think that's one part of it. And then the other part is just consistently monitoring progress, because the other biggest complaint that I hear is, I don't know if I'm growing. Like I'm doing all this stuff and I'm like, what are your metrics? Let's measure growth on a daily basis. You measure, you weigh yourself, you measure your blood pressure, let's measure our progress on these 4 goals that I write, every day, and let's do that, because my thing is like, I'm just tired of hearing excuses. Because when I hear, I feel like I'm growing, I'm like, yeah, because you probably don't know anything to measure like that. Like you have to first figure out what your goals are, what your metrics are, and then measure those damn metrics. Like it's not like
rockets.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
If you're not achieving it, then pivot.
Right. Pivot and/or figure out like, why am I not achieving? I mean, that's something that I do all the time, Shelomo, is why is this not working? Part 1 is it's my fault. Part 2 is that there's some inherent problem in the process or in the machinery or in the whatever. And so like, I think that's a huge exercise, is like, why am I not achieving my goal? Oh, this is why. And then it's up to you. Do you want to change your process? Do you want to change your goal? You know what I mean? But I think I want to see more thought, and I want to see more intention, and I want to see less excuses. Because literally right now I wrote, all you need is like Wi-Fi and a dream. Immediately one girl is like, how do you make money with Wi-Fi? And I was like, because my thing is, I can guarantee you, Shelomo, that she follows all the singers, all the YouTubers, how are they making money? So I'm asking her, I'm like, I'm not going to tell you. I want you to answer yourself. So I told her, I said, who do you follow online? She hasn't replied yet, but she's probably going to say like, oh, makeup influencer. I'm like, great. What do? They make up. What are YouTubers? Great. What is a YouTuber? Okay, so you upload videos and you get views. Great. How are views monetized? Ads. Great. Like I want them to come to this conclusion, because to me it's very irritating when I hear stuff like, how do you make money through Wi-Fi? How do I sell my book? No one's buying it. I was like, no shit, because no one knows who you are. I mean, is it like if you
makes sense.
Yeah, if you just break stuff down, like it actually becomes very easy. Whereas like I'll tell you, for me the struggle right now is like scale. So book sales going great, but I'm trying to do like 100 a day now. Like I'm trying to sell 100 units a day. So in my mind I was like, okay, so clearly I'm not reaching that. I'm like at like 10. I'm like, okay, so if I have to go from 10 to 100, I'm like DMing people, great. Like the people love me. All of them will go, oh, you're so great, so positive. So I'm like, okay, so what's the gap?
That's how you got my book sale.
Right? Yeah.
That's how you got my book sale. You DM me.
Yeah, that's right. That's the only thing I'm doing now, because everyone's like, where's the website? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, you have to start personalization first. You can't just be like, go to my website, here's the link. Like we have to build a relationship first. You know? So I'm not doing that now. So my thing is, like, if I want to sell 100, what do I have to do? Okay, so I have to get people to love me, like me, and they do. They're like, oh, I love you, buy the book, great. So is the problem they don't have money? Is the problem they don't use a credit card? So I'm keeping a list of all the like problems, but then I'm also like, well, part of the solution is also you need to DM 5,000 people a day to get 100 sales, right? So, and I'll be honest, I've never done that. I've never DM'd that many people. So I think for me, that is a great area of opportunity. You know, because my thing is, I can't fix, if they don't have a credit card, I can't fix that, right? If they are very poor, I also can't fix that. You know, if they don't have any money, I also can't fix that. So none of those are problems worth me crying over. A, B, trying to fix, because I can't fix any of those. But what I can fix, I can definitely reach out to more people. Gotcha. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of my thing, because I'll be honest, like my like spot sale where literally the dude or girl is like buying, like, it's not bad. I would say it's like easily 2 to 5%, which is really huge. So like people are doing it. It's just right now the volume, you know, because I mean, if I do 100 a day, that's like almost 1,200 a day, which is like very healthy.
You're gonna do it. I believe it.
So. I'm close. I believe it. I believe it because there's so many people now.
That's another thing. We have to believe, and there's a lot of people out there that just don't believe in the process. Yeah. And they want like you said, they make these unrealistic goals. They don't achieve them. They give up. But you have to trust the process. You have to believe that it's going to happen one day. It might not happen on your clock, but it's going to happen on God's clock. So. Yeah. Or whatever you believe in, it's going to happen. You just keep on going, and you might pivot, and another goal will come out of it.
Totally. Well, then I also want to end with this because I know we're probably wrapping up, and we need to go.
I expected 30 minutes. This happened like an hour.
Dude, but I'm saying, like, I also think one thing that everybody needs to do who's listening and is going to watch is, you know, I want you to be in control of your life, because I think too many people I know, very high achieving, Georgia Tech graduates, doctors, engineers, they're always at somebody else's mercy. They're like, oh, I hope the medical board accepts me. I hope Georgia Tech accepts me. Like, I think I'm now of the mindset where I'm like, I decide where I'm going to go to school. I decide if I want to be a doctor. Like, it's my choice. And I think fundamentally, Shelomo, it's a very different A, feeling, B, it's a very different shift, because what happens is I am no longer 24/7 desperate, number one. Number two, I'm also consistently in a position to choose. I can, right now, like literally today, Shelomo, I can choose where I want to speak. I can choose who I want to block on social media. I can choose what guy I want to go out with and what guy I don't want to go out with. And I think that is because I've always put the power in my hand. Whereas I feel like 99% of people I know, very high achieving. I'm not saying these are like, they've never had a role model. I'm saying like Georgia Tech, Yale, like really always thinking about, I hope Yale accepts me. I hope my dad is proud of me. I hope my mom loves me. Like, whereas now I'm like, my dad better be proud of me. You know what I mean? Like my perspective has changed now to where I'm like, I'm tired of consistently giving up power. So I'm not going to do that
anymore. In your hands.
It's in my hands. And I think people see that now, like in my, just everything in my, just how I talk, how I walk, they see that I don't give up because I don't. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love it. Shinjini, where can people find you?
Yes, I'm at Speaker Shinjini. That's SpeakerShinjini on all 6 platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Snapchat, and LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube.
Wow, you're everywhere. And then buy her book too.
Yes. Memoir at 26, ebook, Becoming a Go-Getter Changed My Life, and it's called Unapologetically Shinjini at unapologeticallyshinjini.com.
I love it. And for my followers, go ahead, if you haven't done so, if you're tuning in for the first time, subscribe, rate, and review. I really want to influence as many teenagers as possible. Awesome. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Peace.
Thank you.